Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a short one. I just wanted to do a very spoilery review of a book that I recently read. And I did post a review on TikTok, but it's much shorter, of course, and there's no spoilers. But there's just something I had to get off my chest, and I feel like YouTube is the place to do that. So hopefully you guys don't plan to read it, or if you watch the video, there are spoilers. I'm gonna say it, it'll be in the title, it'll be there for you to know that there are spoilers. So it was my first Ali Hazelwood book. Deep End was my first Ali Hazelwood book, and I have very mixed feelings about it. Like when you're making brownies and you put the powder and then you do the egg and then you do the oil, I think it is, right? It's oil. When you do that and it's all just kind of like sitting there and the yolk is like chilling over here and then you got the glob of oil over there and then you got the powder sitting at the bottom. It was like that. It was like that. When it still doesn't look very good because it kind of looks gross. That's what it was. I'm tired of holding that. I'll put it somewhere as usual. So in Deep End, there's two main characters, but when you're reading it, I feel like there's a third main character. So you have Scarlet, the FMC, Lucas, the MMC, and Penn, who is this like side FMC, if that makes sense. At the beginning, Penn is dating Lucas. They have been together since high school. They are really good friends on top of having a relationship, a romantic relationship. And then Scarlet is on the same diving team as Penn. All of them are swimmers. Well, Penn and Scarlet are divers and Lucas is a swimmer. So they're separated at that point. But the point is they are all pretty much within the same overarching category of swimming. Pools. They do stuff in pools. That's what I'm trying to say. Wow. So stressful being over here, y'all. Anyways, so Penn and Lucas are dating. They break up. Come to find out that it's because Lucas is into BDSM, whereas Penn is not. So their sex life has like taken a because of that. Penn is like venting to the other divers about her sex life with Lucas, basically. And she says that he likes BDSM, but she does not. Scarlet takes her aside on the DL later on, just the two of them, just remember that, and tells her like, I'm into BDSM as well. I am a submissive and you don't have to feel bad about the fact that your partner doesn't like the same things as you do. You know, it's either, and then she like kind of tells her like, you kind of have to decide, like, do you want to meet them where they're at, meet them halfway, or do you want to dip and find somebody that's a better match for you in the sack? So they have that conversation. Penn is like, oh my God, you're so sweet. You're so la 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 la. Anyways, and then they go to a party and Penn is like rocked. She is like being reborn out of her booty hole. That's how drunk she is. That's how I read it, at least. And she calls Lucas over and tells him, I can't even say it with a straight face. She tells him in front of Scarlet, you two should bang because you both like BDSM. When I read that, I did like a quadruple take. I was like, what? My thing is, even though it's contemporary romance, and I know that it's fictional, it's not real, it's contemporary romance. It's not a fantasy romance. It's not a paranormal romance. It's contemporary. So in my head, I'm thinking like, that is a wild ass thing to do, to like tell someone who's basically a stranger about someone else's sex. It just was weird. It was a weird interaction. But don't worry, it only got better from there. If we're being so fucking for real, it really only got better from there. Lucas is excited because he has met somebody who's into the same things as he. Come to find out later on that he's always had his eye on Scarlet, which is like kind of weird because there were times when him and Penn were doing like threesomes and he was requesting Scarlet's presence. It was just so interesting to me, if I'm so for real. And then all of a sudden they're working on like a project for a professor together. It's just, they are just in each other's worlds so much. They're constantly coming into contact with each other, right? After the party, right? He sends her an email and he's like, when and where? He's so crazy. And she ignores him. She ignores him up until the moment where they're out doing something and she sees Penn sitting in Lucas's lap. They are broken up. They're just friendly. Scarlet sees her sitting in his lap and is like, now, this is when I want to make my move. And then she makes her move on him and says like, yeah, you let me know when. I'm game. I'm ready. They don't I don't think that they talk like that, by the way. That's just my interpretation of them. So I'm sorry. Anyways, so they finally do the business. Well, it takes a really long time before them, but you know, whatever. It's a romance book. We know they're going to end up together. Like, that's not the question. The question is not whether Lucas and Scarlet are going to be together. It's all of the nonsense that goes into them ending up together. There was a really weird dynamic between Pen, Lucas, and Scarlet. At all times, everything that Lucas and Scarlet were doing together revolved around Pen and how she would feel about it and how she would take it. And if Scarlet could, and Scarlet and Pen got really close too, which I just think it was so fucking weird. I would never go up to my friend and be like, yeah, you should fuck my ex. I mean, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Hoes before bros. That's my saying. That's my saying. So in the end, what really, really irked me is anytime these characters came together or like interacted with each other to further the romantic plot, I was immediately aggravated. I was immediately annoyed, and I wanted to chuck the book across the room because it literally did not make sense. It didn't make sense, and it was cringy, and I just didn't understand how that threesome could ever actually exist in real life. And I get it, it's fictional, it's not real, but it's contemporary romance. I just, like, at some point in my brain when I read a contemporary romance, I'm like, oh, like, this could, you know, it could happen. It might have happened. And then on top of that, Lucas reminds me of my ex. We don't have great feelings about my ex, just saying. So I wasn't a huge fan of Lucas. And Pen, her full name is Penelope, and I have an 11-year-old niece named Penelope. So I think that maybe I should have stopped reading when those two things, like when I realized those two things were going against me, but I was like, no, I can do this. And I like the author's writing. It's fun, it's fresh, it's like a bright style of writing. Her character work is really, really good outside of those three interacting with each other. Okay, but when the characters were just like interacting with each other outside of the plot, like just casual interactions, you know, they were really funny. They were sarcastic. Their sense of humor was fucking on point. I would want to sit at that table. Anytime they did anything to further the romantic plot, I wanted to burn the book. I wanted to put it in the oven and turn it on and walk away and forget about it in there. That's how annoyed I was at those characters when it came to the plot itself. And then just because we're already on it, like just to get it off my chest, Lucas did this thing where he was like, I know that you love me and I love you, but I need you to tell me that you love me because I can't be the one to tell you that I love you. And I'm like, what? You know you love her. You are pretty sure she loves you back. You guys have good chemistry in and out of bed. Why are you acting like she's the only one that can admit her feelings? It was really fucking weird. It was really weird and it was really annoying. I was like, what? There was that like third act breakup pretty much, except they were never together, but there was like that third act breakup. And it was as a result of him not admitting that he cared about her, which could have solved a lot of problems, right? And the whole like, he constantly was jumping to like do shit for Pen. And I'm like, did y'all not break up? I am so confused. I was so confused. I was the side bitch in that one because I didn't know what was going on. I felt like I was being cheated on. It was really weird. And then at the end of the story, Lucas flies to Scandinavia. We're done. I will practice that one later. He flies away and he's basically sitting there waiting for Scarlet to fly to him to tell him that she loves him. And I'm like, tell me that you need help with communication skills without saying you need help with communication skills, because that literally doesn't make sense to me. My hair looks crazy. You guys will get over it. It was really interesting. It was a very interesting book. I will say that. I don't remember the last time I read a book where I liked the characters but couldn't stand the plot. I don't know that that's happened to me any time in the last like decade that I can recall. So yeah, it was interesting. I have feelings about it. And I posted on TikTok a spoiler-free review, like I said. And I got recommendations from some of my mutuals over there, and they were saying, a couple of people said Bride, which I think is like a paranormal romance. I think it's like a werewolf and something else. And there was another one that's like Love, possibly, hypothetically, rhetorically. I don't know. We'll look it up and put it somewhere because I'm good at that. So I'm going to try one of those other two to see if I like them, because I really genuinely liked her writing. It was a lot of fun. And it was really, it was a lot of like light compared to some of the heavier books I've been reading recently. But don't ever put me smack dab in the middle of a threesome like that again, because let me tell you something, they were so annoying. They were so annoying. I don't ever want to meet the three of them at the same time in person. I'll meet them each separately because they were pretty cool, but all three of y'all together? No, I'm so sorry. No. And Lucas just really irked me. He really fucking irked me. I'm biased though, I guess, so maybe that's why. But anyways, that is my review of this actually really pretty book in my opinion. I'm not a fan of those sprayed edges, but I guess it's supposed to be like pool water. But that's my review of Deep End by HAZELWOOD. And I hope that you guys enjoyed that because it felt good to get that off my chest. I really needed to expel those feelings, right? I'll see you guys for the next video, and as always, happy reading.